Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and the series where I review episodes of the Christian men's talk show on YouTube titled Shop Talk. Yesterday's episode, yes, I said yesterday, today is Saturday, it came out yesterday, Friday. This is the earliest I've been to review an episode of Shop Talk. I'm very proud of myself. Yesterday's episode was titled Men vs. Boys, Maturity. And Adeolu's guests this time around were three young men that I have something in common with. He had Banky W, then Lynxxx, and finally Adesegun Adetoro. What I have in common with all three of them is that they are all my alma mater. Banky W went to Home Science Secondary School, which I went to from GS1 to GS3, and Lynxxx and Segun went to King's College, where I went to from SS1 to SS3. It was a great episode. There's a lot of talk, or there's been a lot of talk in recent times about our men and our boys in society today. A lot of men these days haven't been showing a lot of maturity or responsibility, and it's been on a huge scale, enough for it to be quite an issue. And when it comes to being a man, being a man is such a huge task and challenge. Because when you talk about being a good man or a real man in terms of what kind of citizen you are in society, what kind of husband you are to your wife, what kind of father you are to your children, what kind of son you are to your parents, there are so many layers to that. There are so many aspects to being a real man and being a son, and transitioning from being a boy to being a man. And it just seems like today a lot of men aren't successfully making that transition. Because in society today, you have a lot of corrupt men and women, but we're focusing on the men. So you have a lot of corrupt men who don't have integrity. You have a lot of men who are unfaithful in their marriages or in their relationships. You have a lot of men who don't seem to have integrity. The alarming thing is that there aren't that many role models in society, especially in Nigeria. And Banky alluded to this in the episode when he said, you know, unfortunately, we don't have that many role models or people that we look up to that can set an example, that younger boys can, you know, model their lives or their careers or their mindsets after. There just aren't that many examples. What we tend to have more of in society is men who get money through illegal or questionable means. Men who, like I said, are unfaithful in their relationships or in their marriages, men who are absent to their children or in their children's lives. There are just so many issues, and there aren't enough men who are setting a good example.
There is a lack of men, if anything, coming out to represent men. The reason I say that is because a man would rather think of what he's going to lose from taking a certain standpoint than actually doing it regardless of what it may cost him.
Banky did also drop a few hints on the episode. I don't know if you guys caught it when he said that, you know, he's planning on starting a restaurant at some point. And I also noticed that for a good amount of time on the episode, Banky talked about, you know, his history and how he came up and how him and, Tunde, how they started EME, his record label, which he said, I think no longer exists, that has transformed into something else. I was a bit concerned by how much time they actually spent when Banky was giving that testimony, but it was all good. I think it was still a bit relevant to the discussion. Something else that Banky pointed to on the episode that struck a chord with me was when he said that in order to be a good man or a real man and be a man of integrity, a man who is responsible, a man who is loyal and all that good stuff, money or having money isn't necessarily an ingredient for all that, or a requirement for you to be a good man or a real man.
You know, we associate, this big man mentality with somebody who has money. Doesn't matter how the guy got it. Exactly. As long as he has it, then he's the man. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think that men in Nigeria we need to change that. We need to unlearn those behaviors. I mean, like we said, being a man is responsibility, it's accountability. It's committing to that and staying loyal to those causes that really makes you a man. Even when you don't have money, you can still be a real man. Even when you do have money, it doesn't mean that you're a real man.
That really struck a chord with me because we live in a society where cash is king and people put so much priority on money. People don't even want to know the source of your money or your wealth. It's just when they see you with wealth, they respect you and they want to be like you and they want to get to know you regardless of whether or not you got your wealth or your money through questionable means. So we have a warped mentality or a warped mindset or warped ideals in society, which we really do need to reorientate, restructure, and revise, because our value system as a society is very poor. So when Banky said you do not need to have money to be a good person or a good man in society or to your family or to your spouse, it is so true, and that is something that somehow we just need to propagate and preach more in society, and take money off the pedestal that we've all put it on. And as for Lynxxx made his own contributions as well. I really liked when he talked about peace and comfort, and he reined it in and brought it to the Christian and religious perspective. When he said that, he talked about when you have comfort, or when you're comfortable, it means that you're all right, but it's also a function of the things you have, the material things you have. But when you have peace is irrespective of the material things you have, and it's about you connecting with God and revering God and just having that connection with God, regardless of whether there's food on the table, clothes on your back, and whether you're essentially comfortable, which is very essential. And that too constitutes the makings of a man.
There's a difference between comfort and peace. Comfort is having things you need. Peace is being very, very, very aligned even when you don't have what you need.
Mm-hmm. He really did talk about also how society tends to see these things, how society sees success versus how God sees our success, and how you see your own success, being that that's what really matters, that so far you're pleasing God, serving Him, doing His will, keeping Him as your all in all and keeping Him first and paramount in your life. Then you can really say you have peace. Then you can really say that you are being a man or being a child of God. Adesegun Adetoro, my homeboy, Segun is a friend of mine. I think Segun had the best quote on the episode when he said something along the lines of,
in this whole being a man issue, I know one of the things is that people try to look at being a man and think it's a destination. But it really isn't. It's a journey.
Yeah.
And this is so true. Sure, you have values that mirror or define who you are, but it's a lifelong journey to actually maintain those values, show and exude those values, and even build on those values to be a good person or a bad person if you have bad values. So, I mean, Segun said awesome things, but that's what really stuck out for me. Anyway, if you've seen this week's episode of Shop Talk Men versus Boys, please let me know what you thought about it in the description box below. Do we really have a problem with, men in society today? And if we do, what is the solution? What's the way forward? If you haven't watched it, there's a link to the episode in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please feel free to subscribe as well. The subscribe button is just down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was awesome. I will see you in the next one. Take care.